CBS News in Focus. This week, we've launched an ongoing series called The American Spirit. People with big ideas confronting big problems. Tonight, hospital care. You expect you'll be well taken care of. You certainly don't expect to get sick or even worse from your care, but that happens to at least 1.5 million patients every year simply because they're given the wrong medication. And believe it or not, more Americans die because of hospital mistakes than are killed in car accidents or from guns or illegal drug use. One doctor, though, is on a crusade to change that. His story, another example of the American spirit. Dr. Donald Berwick, a Harvard-trained pediatrician, has dedicated his life to tracking a killer in a place that is supposed to make you well.
Where's the rapid response?
Hospitals are very dangerous places. I don't know how to explain this to the public in a way that doesn't create too much fear, but they need to be realistic. And the technologies that help you can also hurt you, and they do it every single day.
Dr. Berwick estimates that for every 100 patients admitted to hospitals, there are 40 to 50 incidents when patients are harmed, ranging from bruises and bed sores to much more life-threatening situations.
Between 44,000 and 98,000 Americans die in hospitals each year, killed by their care, not by their disease.
Do you hear from family members who say,
all the time,
my husband or wife or sister died and it didn't have to be?
My email is full of the most poignant stories that are surfacing from families, loved ones, patients themselves saying, this happened to me, why did it happen, didn't have to happen.
Stories like 18-month-old Josie King, who came to the hospital for burns but died from dehydration, and 27-year-old Joshua Nahum, who came in for broken bones and died from an infection.
You need to build a hospital like you build an airplane so that everything works right and that there's a kind of automatic excellence in the system instead of relying on human effort.
Dr. Berwick runs the Institute for Healthcare Improvement, and 2 years ago he launched the 100,000 Lives campaign. That's the number of lives he hoped to save by getting hospitals to have standard operating procedures for the way they care for patients, hooking up a ventilator properly to eliminate the risk of pneumonia, ensuring that a patient's medication is monitored from the ICU to the hospital room to home. Dr. Berwick says even something as simple as uniform hand washing requirements would cut hospital infections in half. So do you travel around and check out the hospitals and see what they're up to?
Yeah, we have a campaign team that makes field visits all the time.
We recently met Dr. Berwick at New York's Beth Israel Hospital, one of the more than 3,000 hospitals that has signed on to his campaign. Dr. Brian Cole is the hospital's director of infection control. It's interesting that some of these injuries or problems, infections, etc., were pretty much accepted.
The belief was they're at risk, and this is something that's to be expected.
Hi, how are you? Very nice to meet you. Catherine DeSantis would once have been at risk for a life-threatening infection because of the tube she needs for feeding. But new procedures, championed by Berwick, have greatly reduced the danger.
We standardize practices so that the line is placed in a sterile manner.
Dr. Cole says following the guidelines has saved untold lives.
I'm feeling a lot more, even though I don't want to be in the hospital, a lot more comfortable being here.
Meanwhile, the campaign does more than save lives. And this actually saves hospitals money?
Yes, a lot of people ask, how can you afford to improve? And the answer is you can't afford not to.
And now Dr. Berwick's organization is making even more recommendations to ensure hospitals are safe. What about the human component here, though, doctor? I mean, being able to pick up subtle cues from a patient. Can you really mandate and establish a protocol when these human relationships are so important?
Well, if I'm not fighting uphill battles against unreliability and drop balls and things that go wrong, well, now I have time to sit with you and hold your hand and look at your face and answer your questions and do all the other things that only caring, committed human being can do.
You're emotional about it.
Yeah, I am.
How come?
It's in reach. It's in reach. You know, it's just a matter of will and leadership.
The will to take small, simple steps that could greatly reduce complications and ensure many more people live to leave the hospital. And coming up.